First, we're going to hear all about that trip to San Juan that my first guest enjoyed. He is Nick Powell. Thanks for joining us from City and State, mister.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Appreciate it.
So I guess we can't compete with Puerto Rico now. Is it all a distant memory? Are you going to tell us you were stuck in conference rooms, not on the beach?
To be honest, it was kind of a nonstop type of deal. We were doing a lot of live stream interviews every morning, and we had several events, pretty much one every day. So I did sneak in a little beach time, but it was mostly business, believe it or not.
Well, City and State, you guys, I have to commend you. You guys, like, right up to the thing. You were talking to all the key players, from Melissa Mark to the mayor and everyone in New York and all the way down to Puerto Rico. So explain to folks who may not be familiar what Somos La Futura is.
Sure, yeah, it's an annual conference that some of the New York Hispanic delegation in the state legislature puts together. It's really kind of raising awareness on kind of the issues in the Hispanic diaspora, but also shining a spotlight on the Puerto Rico to New York pipeline, which obviously is, as many of us who live here know, is a very kind of rich heritage, rich tradition. And it's in the past, it's kind of been designed as almost a quasi junket for a lot of these legislators. I went 2 years ago post mayoral election, and everybody was pretty much there just kind of unwinding from everything. But there was a lot more urgency. It seemed like a lot more kind of issue focused this year, especially with the Puerto Rican debt crisis and everything going on in the islands. It just seemed like there was definitely a little bit more business going on, not as much beach time and pool time.
When there's $72 billion in debt at stake, the stakes are a little bit higher.
Exactly.
It gets a little more serious.
Yep.
So what emerged from the conference? Do you think that we have a better understanding, or we're on track for improving that Puerto Rico-New York pipeline?
It's a good question. I mean, look, the Puerto Rican debt crisis is something that's there's gonna be a tipping point at some point. Either the federal government's gonna allow Puerto Rican to default on their and declare bankruptcy, or they're gonna extend a lifesaver in some way, shape, or form. And really, President Obama has kind of a sense of urgency around this. There's no telling what's gonna happen a year from now, whether we're gonna have a Republican or Democratic president. So as a sympathetic ear to the Puerto Rican kind of plight right now, he's really got a lot on his plate. In terms of New York, Governor Cuomo went down there and announced he's setting up a new office of tourism down there to kind of deal with the problems with the health crisis, which it's great optics for him and kind of shores up his Latino base, looking towards whatever he has planned next. For Mayor de Blasio, it was more of kind of symbolic. Go down there. They both attended. Right. They both attended the healthcare rally. They both were at attendance in the keynote reception of the conference. But look, there's only so much that New York can really do. It's not like we can just send them a $72 billion loan. So it's really about meeting with the elected officials. They both met with the governor of Puerto Rico, the mayor of San Juan, Carmen Yulín Cruz, I believe, got some FaceTime with them as well. Yes, it's symbolic in nature, but look, New York's going to be kind of on the forefront of advocating for helping Puerto Rico moving forward, whether it's Nydia Velázquez or Mayor de Blasio or Governor Cuomo. So, in that sense, it was important.
All right, so a little bit closer to home, we'll start with the man, I guess, who's winning. He's winning right now. The governor, talk about executive order. Obama's had a little setback with his, but Cuomo's moving forward with that $15 an hour for state employees.
Yeah, this was a huge announcement for him. There was some debate when he initially made the call for a statewide $15 minimum wage with Vice President Biden, whether this was going to include state workers who you typically collectively bargain separately from whatever statewide legislation is put forth. So,
but you spoke about that sort of bargaining. There was some talk about this as sort of a preemptive before he goes into negotiations with two big unions to say, "Hey, look what I just delivered."
Right.
So,
no, it's from a political standpoint, it's a big kind of look. You guys pushed back on my credentials with the left, with my credentials with the unions and working people. Look what I've done. This this is a a move your chips to the center of the table type of move, and it really kind of jibes with the national conversation. President Obama's come out for a higher minimum wage. It's been a focus of the presidential campaign as well. So after kind of tiptoeing around it for a while and seeing actually the mayor come out ahead, somehow Cuomo has managed to repurpose it as his own issue, and also kind of elbow out de Blasio a little bit.
Well, we've got a great picture of them last night. De Blasio and Cuomo were separated by one person at the annual charity Alfred E. Smith Memorial Foundation dinner last night. It's the big white tie mucky event.
Look at those expressions.
Raised like $6 million. Look at the woman in the middle. And to that point, while we have this picture up, Mayor de Blasio, former Mayor Bloomberg, I don't know who his writer is. I don't know if Stu's working for him as a writer now. But he got a great zinger in last night when he said that de Blasio and Cuomo have a great working relationship. He called them incredibly close couple, like Cain and Abel, Hamilton and Bheard, Katy Perry and Taylor Swift. So this was the Katy Perry, Taylor Swift moment last night.
Very nice.
But to talk about the numbers of the thing, so there's 10,000 state workers who would be in line for that $15 an hour by the end of 2018.
Right.
So your check ain't going to change this week, but by 2018 you should have some money. So from the winner to the other guy on the table, the Taylor Swift maybe, or maybe he's the Katy Perry. Taylor Swift is at the top of the charts now.
Yeah, I guess right.
He's registered an L in Iowa at least. He got a nice Puerto Rican vacation, but he won't be in Iowa come December.
Yep. Yeah, so, this has kind of been a topic of much discussion when we were talking about the mayor's priorities, home and nationally. He's been, talking about having this progressive forum for the presidential campaign in Iowa, not in New York. And this was kind of, a lot of people kind of thought that this was his way of when he was withholding the endorsement of Hillary, of kind of raising the prestige of that announcement by, maybe focusing it right before the forum.
I'm going to have a forum in December.
Exactly. So, kind of simultaneously raising his profile and discussing an issue that he actually, does care about and has put forward.
Issue.
Right, income inequality. Unfortunately, the mayor kind of misplayed his hand a little bit. He was very late to the Hillary endorsement vote. Whether you want to discuss whether he should endorse Bernie or Hillary, political endorsements are currency, and if you don't kind of capitalize on when that currency is at its highest, and you can argue for the mayor that was probably maybe 10 months ago. So. Then it kind of just loses its importance and it becomes just part of the chorus. And there, Governor Cuomo came out ahead. Many New York politicians, Melissa Viverito, already had endorsed. So by the time it came around to the mayor, and he, kept teasing it out and teasing it out on TV, it was an afterthought. And then you combine that with losing the forum, which was kind of going to be his moment in the sun, his moment to really elevate the debate and put forth the issues that he wanted to focus on, or he wanted the presidential candidates. Right, and now he couldn't get a single commitment from any of the candidates.
Yeah, the folks at the University of Iowa said we have to have 3 Dems and 3 Republicans to go forward. Well, the deadline is still tomorrow.
It's technically tomorrow, but at this point.
So 3 of each called by tomorrow. We're on.
Right. And I can't imagine that any will change their mind last minute. But it's notable that he couldn't even get a commitment from Bernie Sanders, who very much is aligned with de Blasio on a lot of kind of lefty issues. And obviously the woman he endorsed, Hillary Clinton, didn't commit either. Not so much surprising that the Republicans, who kind of viewed de Blasio as their kind of liberal punching bag, did not commit. But it is a little bit shocking that none of the Democrats did.
So you're the opinion editor. I'm closing in on our last 40 seconds.
Sure.
I'm going to give you the last word to eulogize Vito Lopez, longtime NYC poll. You're the opinion editor.
Absolutely.
So
No. Well, look, I encourage everybody to read our column today by Alexis Grinnell, one of our great columnists. She really kind of hit it on the head. And look, Vito's legacy is complicated. He was, had a long political career, but unfortunately, he will be remembered by the sexual harassment accusations. And it's important to note he was never convicted in the court of law, but the State Ethics Commission found rampant instances of sexual harassment. And he, frankly, up until the day he died, fought paying for his crimes. He still owes, at the time of his death, over $300,000 to the state in fines related to his sexual harassment accusations. And it's unfortunate because nobody wants to dance on anybody's grave. But the fact of the matter is, right? Sexual harassment is not something that we should be taking lightly, especially from our public officials. So look, Alexis's column, I really encourage you all to read it. It was posted yesterday. It's on our website, cityandstateny.com. It's titled "We Can't Exonerate Veto." I can't remember this.
We showed the people.
Yeah.
There's
Anyway, it's a really good piece, and we have a lot of interesting opinion content coming soon.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks,
today.
Brian.
We'll have to do it
Appreciate
again.